I wanted to talk a little bit about how to handle reviews in the review process. So this is more from the perspective of new authors or those of us who are new to the whole review process. So I wanted to primarily talk about, say, 5 things to keep in mind when handling reviews. So the first thing to keep in mind is if you hear back from the journal on the paper that you submitted, and it is not an outright reject, then I think we should consider ourselves lucky. And the reason for that is because if you look at the statistics, most journals, most top journals, the majority of the papers tend to get test rejected, and those that actually go into the review process also, a significant number of them tend to get rejected. So if the outcome is anything other than an outright reject, I think that's good. The second thing is when we get those reviews, right? So our natural tendency is to sort of dive into them and figure out what to do. So I think that's great. I mean, then we obviously want to look at reviews as soon as we get them. But I'd suggest that before you start acting on the reviews, at least take a look at them 3 different times. So maybe right away when you get them, because we just can't help it, and then put it away and maybe come back to it a day or two later, and then read those reviews again with an entirely fresh perspective, and then try to put it away and come back again a day or two later, or maybe a couple of days or so, and then look at the reviews again. And then start thinking about what to do about the feedback that has been given. The third thing is it's always useful, at least to me, to create a master to-do list. So oftentimes when you look at the reviews, you'll see that stuff tends to get repeated. So it's a good idea to come up with a comprehensive to-do list that covers everything that each person on the review team suggested that you do, and sort of put it together. Once that list is ready, then the fourth thing is to think about prioritizing the items. Right, so this is where the editor's letter and the AE's letter can really help. So oftentimes the list of demands from the reviewers will be fairly large, and one can always do everything in extreme amount of detail, but we also have to balance the amount of time that it takes to do all these changes. So start prioritizing all these to-do items with the input from the editor and the AE. And the final thing I would say is that, especially if you're new to the whole publication process, is definitely try to do as much as possible about what is asked, if not everything that is asked in the review process. So it's well, it's kind of obvious or necessary that when we submit back the work, we do what the editor or the AE is asking. But even going beyond that, if there are things that have not been necessarily stressed by the editor and the AE, if any of the reviewers, they've mentioned it, it's a good idea to try to do it. At least at a minimum, make a sincere, good faith attempt at trying to address those issues, and include that in your response. Because to move forward in the review process, it's always a good idea to get the reviewers completely on your side. And a good way to do it is to try to address each of the concerns that they're trying to raise. So hopefully those things would help smoothen out the responding to the reviews and working on revisions process, and help you have successful outcomes in your publication.